What's up, everybody? We're going to be getting into it here in just a moment. Market's chopping around. We got to talk about all this nonsense with HBAR. What does it mean? Algorand was pushing up, had a bit of a pullback. We're seeing a bit more opportunity in these charts with prices bouncing around, going lower, going sideways. What are we doing? We are making sure that we are prepared. I'm hoping that I'm making sure that you are prepared to make sure we can ride this all the way to the top. Shout out to everybody that's here. Shout out to Alexander G. Shout out to everybody that shows up early. If you are here early right now, I want to see people. I want to see the next 5 coins, and I'm not talking about meme coins. Next 5 coins, all of you, post them in the chat right now because you are here early, and we will do some looking at some TA on those coins. Of course, I'm going to look at Bitcoin. Of course, I'm going to look at Ethereum. Of course, I'm going to look at Algorand. Of course, I'm going to look at HBAR. So give me 5 other coins, and big love to each and every one of you. We're going to be getting going here in just a moment. So let's get active. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, ding the bell. If you're tuned in later, you can just go ahead and skip ahead, but we're going to be getting going here in just a moment. Yes, we will absolutely look at MATIC. What's the last thing, everybody that is here early? What did you buy last? What did you sell last? Hopefully many of you are just sitting on your hands, because the worst thing you can do right now is just chop around because you're trying to make some moves. Yeah, we can look at ADA. We'll look at MATIC, ADA, and I'll write all these down. HBAR, Algorand. And again, we're going to be getting going here in just a moment. So get active, retweet this space, go over to the @Academy BitLab or @KellyKellum, retweet the link for this space. Big love to each and every one of you.
Can't nobody tell me nothing. Bitcoin. Boom. We are hearing from clients around the world. The evidence.
Guys, I'm feeling good about these markets. I hope you're feeling good about these markets. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today. As you roll in, hit that like button. Let me know if you're buying or selling right now, or if you're sitting on your hands. I am ready for this market to rip, but I'm not expecting it to happen at this exact moment. Let's talk about where this market's going. Let's get it. What's up, everybody? Good morning, good afternoon, good night. We got to talk about what's going on in this market. So let's jump right on into it. We're getting a little bit of movement here on these smaller cap coins moving to the downside. But if we come over here and just look at the coin market cap and just, come on, you could do it, baby. There we go. We can see Bitcoin down. It broke down below a key level that I shared in the Discord. And what is that next target down? We're going to be diving into that. Ethereum's hovering right around that 3,200 mark. We're seeing BNB, Solana, XRP, Dogecoin, Toncoin. Markets are just kind of chopping sideways, and I've been talking about this. I've been talking about this for a couple weeks now, especially being where we're at in the market, considering where we're at in the market, knowing that we are consolidating right at that level that we were at, that previous all-time high, similar to what we saw right here when price consolidated sideways when we were at that previous all-time high. Of course, this time we were below it. This time we were chopping right across it. But what does this mean? Where is price going in the near term? We are still well within this sideways range that we have been in all the way since, we won't call the range started here, but let's call it started right about here, middle of March, trading sideways across this. And we're breaking down. Was there any signs that was telling us this was breaking down? Yes, there was. I talked about this. I did not stream yesterday, but earlier this week, when we started having this rising wedges tend to have a signal that they're going to break to the downside. In addition to this, we also see we have the golden pocket right here from this move, the top to the bottom, the golden pocket right here, the 0.618. Right here, you can see it on the chart, which is also right in line with this previous range high and this previous low bounce right in this zone. This also rejected at this level right here. Many different price points on the chart saying this is going to be a hurdle for us. So we see the price action coming into it and rejecting. It's not a surprise. this should not be a surprise. In addition to all this, we can also see that we had an M formation, essentially one of these double top formations, pushing up, reject, pushing up, reject. And what do we get on this second top right here? We have a little bit of a lower high. So there was some bearishness coming into this as we're coming to the apex of this rising wedge, further signaling not only do we have a bearish pattern here, those very crooked lines, a bearish pattern here with this, the resistance and support aiming to the upside. We also have the price action pattern itself with this double top with the lower high. Now, what do we get? Now we're getting on this. We're having higher low, higher low, higher low, higher low. Now, what do we get? A lower low. We want to pay attention to potentially having an Elliott wave pattern breakdown here, which is something that could be in play. What would this look like? Well, if we look at this, this would be essentially a 1, something in here, 2, 3, 4, and something potentially coming down below this level if this were to play out. Again, the markets are very charged right now, so we have to pay attention to what's going on. So let's head over to the chat. Let's shout out everybody here. Swashbuckling Scallywag, welcome to see you back in here. Sawtooth Hiker, Alexander G, Jason Rohde, we got Louis Ray, Bedoles. I'm not really sure how to say the name. Shout out to people that are all in here, especially those that came in early. We're going to be looking at Bitcoin. We're going to be looking at Ethereum, of course. We got to look at HBAR with all that news about what happened yesterday. Was it fake? Is it fake? Is it a narrative thing? Is it bad that maybe it wasn't misinformation or just mischaracterized? We also got to talk about Algorand making some moves and then sucking them right back down. So what is going on here? Let's go through what we want to talk about. Now, I shared this here on in the Discord. We were sharing a lot of charts this morning. John Dalton, by the way, those of you that are in the BitLab community, you should really follow along with what all the different posts John Dalton does. Absolutely excellent trader, and he shares so much alpha in here. But I shared this, right as we were breaking down this level. I actually shared, I think I shared before this. Yeah, I did. Up here, watching this $65,000 mark. And if we lose that, then we're talking about this next level down, which is $63,600. We have to pay attention to what's going on here because the market right now is going to do everything it can to shake you out if you do not have true conviction of what's going on, because this market is about to rip. Now, is it going to happen this week, next month, the month after? There's no way of knowing. There's a big saying in markets, sell a man, walk away, because a lot of major players in markets tend to take the summer off. There's a lot lower volume. Is that going to play out again this time? Who knows? But all we can do is prepare. So I shared this. I said, Bitcoin taking a little spill, providing dip buying opportunities. That's right. I still believe these are dip buying opportunities. Looking at 63.6 for the next level down, the rising wedge present here suggested a potential breakdown. This was this rising wedge we just talked about. No one should be surprised or capitulating here. Question is, are you capitulating? Are you scared? If you're scared, that's okay. Acknowledge that you're scared. Sometimes we got to work through this as a community, right? And if you're here, you're watching, you're joining, you're commiserating with other people that have been in the market and have maybe a little bit more experience than you. That's one step most people can't get over. We don't know it all. All we can do is try to figure out what's going on. But let's talk about what's going on with Hedera. So Cointelegraph, stupid or just unprofessional, says Crypto Observer. We are to believe that BlackRock knew absolutely nothing about their fund being tokenized by on the Hedera network. Apparently, a couple of the UK companies decided to do it themselves, and those naughty guys at the HBAR Foundation chipped in to steal the glory. Poor old BlackRock knew nothing. Imagine a couple of UK-based companies doing that with total disregard for BlackRock and not ensuring first that they approved this move onto Hedera. So, Cointelegraph, has BlackRock operating in total ignorance of this? In fact, they have BlackRock probably never have even heard of Hedera. Wow, what a mess. Essentially what's going on here is one group of people that have a product or a protocol within the crypto space decided to tokenize what BlackRock's doing on their blockchain, and it was pushed out on social media. This is why you need to, don't trust, verify. You saw a huge spike up on Hedera's price action. Let's actually pull that up. Coming over here, we see this huge spike up. In fact, this spike was a major pump. That's over 100% pump on this news. And it turns out that maybe BlackRock wasn't involved with this. It turns out that they weren't. It's something that somebody else did. And yes, it does involve BlackRock, but it wasn't BlackRock's doing. Now, what we do see here is, yes, it's good for the HBAR ecosystem that this happened. It's just mischaracterized. And the acknowledgement of that mischaracterization, or as people started to realize, we see the sell-off. And interestingly, look at this. We're coming right down into this golden pocket. I'm telling you, if you guys are not using golden pockets while you're investing and trading and looking at potential levels, then you're doing yourself a major disservice. Yes, we had two different levels we can look at here that are strengthening this zone that the HBAR pulled back into, pulling back into 12 cents here, which is this range high, which is this range low, rejection, support, rejection, rejection. You see what I'm talking about. And this perfectly lines up with where this golden pocket is right here. So we have the previous price action as well as a golden pocket from this major pump up. Price action came right back into this zone. So here you feel like you missed the boat. But we always want to wait for that pullback into a level that gives us, say, look, this just acknowledges something's going on. This is an opportunity right in here. Now, is this going to fall further? It's likely that it could. And anything, I think, below this golden pocket would be an absolutely excellent buying point for HBAR. But we have to realize that there's, you know, some sort of drawdown effects when you realize that it's not everything that those initial tweets made it out to believe, where it's like where BlackRock, the characterization was, the immediate assumption was BlackRock said, we're using HBAR, and that's not at all what happened. So we need to acknowledge that, and it shows how charged the space can be when certain projects find alignment with major players, major global financial players like BlackRock or Fidelity, or other major institutions like Amazon and Apple and all these different major players on the global stage. So we have to be very wary of when we see partnership that we actually look in. Is it a partnership, or is it a use of this service or some sort of alignment by a third party, not actually that third party saying we're using this? There's a lot of things at play here. Now, next thing up on the docket today is, this is something very important. I'm sure you've seen this other places, but the fact that Hong Kong spot Bitcoin and Ethereum, this is a key part right here. Ethereum ETFs officially approved to begin trading on April 30th. So in 6 days, Ethereum and Bitcoin. But again, I'm talking about this Ethereum part here. I think it's going to be a big player here, and I'm going to tell you why here in a second. Fees are, it doesn't matter for me, all this kind of stuff. But again, the Ethereum ETFs, spot ETFs in Asia, launching within 6 days. And everybody's still wondering what's going on with the US ETF for Ethereum. Now, the interesting thing about this is, maybe this is coincidence. There's not that many coincidences out there in this world these days. So we have to pay attention to this right here. Somehow we get the news about the Hong Kong Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, remember James Seifert was talking about silence is violence when you're thinking about if there's movement happening towards those whatever ETF you're talking about, or decisions by the SEC. In this case, all of a sudden we see a bunch of movement on Ethereum ETFs from multiple issuers and the SEC. Grayscale just filed their S3 prospectus for converting the ETH ETF. Expected and standard SEC delayed decisions on ETH, Grayscale, and Franklin. BlackRock filed amendment to their 19B, basically forms that are related to getting the ball rolling and all the things that are necessary. In fact, they also asked for comments. The SEC started asking for comments on the ETH ETF. So could it be that this ETF, the ETFs that are launching in Hong Kong next week are putting a little bit of pressure? I mean, because we're starting to see, one, we had a very successful launch, not a very successful launch. We had a record-breaking launch of the Bitcoin ETFs here, the spot ETFs here with BlackRock and Fidelity and ARK Invest and VanEck and all these different ETF, Bitwise, setting records, breaking trends, doing all kinds of things that are kind of puts it on notice for everybody in Wall Street and in the government that not only is this an important thing, we even saw a change of footing, a change of stance from the IMF, speaking positively about Bitcoin. There's big things at play right now. And so, especially with what's going on with monetary policy and also with the US not wanting to continue to fall further behind. So could it be that these Hong Kong ETFs getting launched are putting pressure on the SEC, putting pressure on the US government to make sure that yet again, we don't become second footing on something or slow play something because we can't get our shit together. This is important. And I think if this does happen, this will be one of those things. If the Ethereum ETF, I'm not specifically talking about the Hong Kong ETFs, but if the Ethereum spot ETF does get approved in May, or it gives us some sort of timeline of when this may happen, and there's positive movement towards it, this would be a further bullish cap in the feather of the crypto ecosystem here in the US. And because the crypto ecosystem in the US is so large and so much money is involved, that has a direct impact on prices globally, obviously, for these these crypto projects. Now, what are we talking about with where we're at right now? Because everybody wants to know what's going on with Bitcoin, what's going on with my altcoins. When is it actually going to start to kick off? Well, the foundation is still getting ever more bullish by the day. This is from Will Clemente, says, sharp jump in the number of whales on chain over the past 2 months. Look at this. Very sharp jump in the number of whales. Yes, we have ETH ETF, so we have these different major institutions getting involved, but we also have big money and smart money starting to pour in as well. So this right here is the type of thing we want to see. We need to pay attention to when this says sell off, because you can see this sell off right here of the big accounts. And I've shown you this on chain many times here when we're looking at those wallets with over 10,000 or those wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin. This reduction, as we can see right here, directly results in the weakness that happens here, because these are people divesting into profits. And who are they selling to? Weaker hands buying the top, giving this rounding formation that ultimately ends up breaking down into a bear market. But as this stands right now, this is incredible. This is very bullish for the next 12 to 14 months, obviously all the way into the future. But we're more concerned. Everybody wants to know what's happening. When is this when's this parabolic run going to actually start kicking into gear? Because we are tired. All of us are tired because we are impatient of waiting on this consolidation that's happening sideways. And you know what? I have too many damn, it doesn't matter because I'm usually zoomed in, but all of this consolidation, we want this. What do we want? We want results. We want them now. Well, sometimes you've got to be willing to do the work of the patience of this and take advantage of these types of dips. And look at this. It's still kind of pushing its way to the downside. I'm watching for an opportunity down here. And if we lose that, then we're going to be looking further down. But we're seeing signs bullishness. Wallets with over 1,000 Bitcoin. Number of entities with more than 1,000 Bitcoin just moving up and to the right here. This is very bullish. We look at this next chart right here. Hard to come to any conclusion based on a few days of data, but so far Bitcoin miner revenues have seen a huge jump to record highs after the halving. This is bullish because this directly impacts the profitability of miners. And why do we care about if all we're doing is trading altcoins? Why do we care about it if all you're doing is buying meme coins? Why do you care about this if all you're doing is trading Bitcoin? Some people are not in this for the tech. Some people are just here to make money, and that's fine. The reason why this is important is because this directly impacts the profitability of miners, and miners directly drive the intrinsic value of Bitcoin, because the strength of miners directly is the strength of the security of the Bitcoin network. So this is wonderful, because if there's a lot more revenue coming in from fees, there's less incentive to turn off miners. Therefore, it keeps the network stronger. And that also means if they have this other revenue source That means they don't need to sell some of the Bitcoin that they earned as rewards for profit to keep their lights on. This is a double whammy. I talked about it yesterday on the Discover Crypto Show. This is a double whammy because it means not only did we just get a halving that reduces the new supply, that's positive for the supply-demand dynamic. Yes, but this also suggests not only that maybe miners aren't going to need to sell as much Bitcoin. Less sell pressure on the market. Now, where are we at right now with what's going on? Now, I want you all to realize if you hold money in an account for 7 years, based on this metric I'm about to show you, your money will be essentially cut in half, the buying power value. Why is that? Because on average, we basically target, we don't target, we target 2%. But, and they say, right now they say it's 3.5%, but the average is about 7% yearly. All of Bitcoin has a programmed and understood monetary policy on a distributed network that is essentially audited every 10 minutes. So do you want to put your money, you want to put your $100,000 life savings, do you want to save money in a savings account because that's how we were raised by our parents? You got to have money in a savings account. And this is all determined by what you want to do with yourself and how you want to protect your future. But if you have $500,000 or $10,000, the total is irrelevant. The buying power, the value of that in terms of how you can use it in the world essentially gets cut in half in about 7 years, 7 to 10 years. Because why? The M2 money supply will likely return to its 7% average. Whereas Bitcoin has a programmed and understood monetary policy on a distributed network that is essentially audited every 10 minutes. So yes, there's a lot of profitability that we can make in this market, but there's also an underlying intrinsic moral difference about what Bitcoin is providing, let alone just the ability to make some money. It changes the dynamic of you being able to participate in your future. This is why it's so important. And when we look at where we're at right now, let's look at some of these charts. Bitcoin has same behavior to the 10 exponential moving averages 2020, 2021. Just before 2020-21 bull run, Bitcoin first broke down to the 10 EMA on the weekly chart. Once the bull run had started, Bitcoin had never closed below the 10 exponential moving average. We believe this is the same case in the current 23 and 24 bull run. This is what they're talking about. See this push up here, comes down, retest with a slight deviation, and then launch. It comes back, almost touch. It comes back, almost touch. Comes back, almost touch, all the way up here from we went down here about 9,000 all the way up here over 50,000 before this came down and touched again. What we're seeing right here, this is what we call a fractal. You're looking at the price behavior in a previous cycle, how it interacted with the said certain signal. And what we can see, what has happened here, same thing. And we've coming here, we had a little bit of we had a wick down below, but no candle closures, but finding support here, finding support again, right on this level. So are we going to get this fractal to the upside? Or are we going to get that larger pullback? I'm happy either way. Are you happy either way? If you're not happy either way, then that means you're married to a direction and you're likely going to get wrecked. So know that. But we are still on pace, very similar to what we're seeing in this sort of run right here, this fractal. And then on this next chart, we can see very similarly, Kevin Svensson says this is a basically breakdown of the price action as it relates also to the MACD, the moving average convergence divergence. That's what MACD stands for, moving average convergence divergence. Are two different length moving averages expanding, meaning that momentum is increasing, or are they starting to converge, meaning that momentum is slowing down? Okay, now it's not a direct momentum indicator, but you can utilize it this way. So sometimes people look at the two lines. You don't even need to see the lines. This is the distance between those lines. That's what these levels, that's what the bars are when you're looking at MACD. So what we're seeing here, boom, look at this. The daily MACD is now positive for the first time since March 15th. January 29th was the last time we had a significant cross up on the daily MACD. So what was this? Boom, right here. Look at, this was the start. This was a sell-off from the ETF. Boom, right here. And this was a launch. Boom. And we're just getting this flip back over right in here, feeling very good. The last flip was right here. We had a very small dip, negative MACD here. And this is where that flip happened right here. We also had a huge pump out of this. So there's different signs, different types of signals, whether you're using moving averages like the 10 EMA, whether you're using the MACD, whether you're using the momentum and money flow, whether you're using the BitLab trading stack, it doesn't matter what you're using. We are still not only within the range that we have been traveling, that we've been essentially consolidating in here, which is necessary. We broke the previous all-time high and beyond it. It's necessary to have a little bit of consolidation here to shake out the weak hands, and you all are not going to be shaken out because you have a plan. But this is showing signs of bullishness. Even if we get a dip back down and retest this low, this is still on the macro very bullish. We can see on the macro, this is from Bitcoin Archive, this is Archie. Here we can see this. Remember how we had this 20% pullback, push up, consolidate, 20% pullback, consolidate. And then the market really started rallying into that speculation, the hope, the excitement about the potential ETF. We got the ETF sell-off, shake some people out, and then we launched. But okay, let's take the news narrative out of it. Let's look at just what the charts showed. RSI coming down, downtrend on RSI as this was consolidating. That was signaling. Also, we also see that, look at this, MACD traveling to the downside as well. We got the sell-off, consolidated sideways with a bit of a fake out here. But then right here, the RSI breaks through its moving average. This is what this yellow line is here, and then comes down and finds support on it. So now, as this was traveling sideways, starting to inch up a little bit, but the RSI, aka the strength, what is the strength of the underlying buying pressure? That's what we're looking at here. And we can see this comes down, finds support on the moving average, finds a little bit of a deviation, but still a higher low. Now we have a higher high. Now we right in this zone right here, it gets a little scary. These markets are going to chop you out in every way they can, but this is trending higher. And then this just stays very high. The strength of the market's very high. Some people will say this is an overbought signal. If you're trading on an hour or 15-minute chart, sure, use it like that. But when you're looking at a larger picture, daily and above, you're just seeing the strength of the trend. In this case, how strong this was, and the price action just continued higher. Now, what are we seeing? Again, this is a MACD. See, look at this, just wave just coming up. See how this is dark red, dark pink, and then light pink? The dark, very easy way to reference. This means it's expanding bearishly. When it gets to light pink, this means this is starting to contract and starting to angle back up towards that zero line. Similarly, the dark green means it's expanding bullishly. When you get the light green, that means it is starting to contract. And you can see this reflected in these two lines as well. As this is getting smaller here, these two lines are coming closer together. And so what happens, look, boom, right here, the MACD crosses bearish. This also flips bearish right here. This is a reflection of the distance between these two, right? Is the blue line above or below? Is it green or red, right? Simple tricks here. So we see this flip bearish, and now this is the market has tried to bring this down, and all this has resulted in, and this is why it's bullish. This has resulted in just consolidating and the bulls defending a level. And this MACD is now crossing back bullish. And the RSI, similar to back in here, similar to right here, is breaking beyond this moving average. Are we about to get that next run to the upside? Now, we also have to consider what's going on with all these altcoins, right? And this is from Decojar. He says, and then God said, let there be altcoin season. And there was altcoin season, and God saw that it was good. Well, let's just look at what's going on here with the market. This is very similar to what we were just talking about with Bitcoin, with the price action. Remember, this is an index. This is the total 3. It's the entire crypto market cap minus Bitcoin and Ethereum. So it's specifically looking at the market caps of all those altcoins out there. And this is a great metric for where we're at within the strength of those alt markets. Now, what are we seeing right here is very similar to back here. See how we had this consolidation? And this is not yet at the previous all-time high of the market cap. We're having this consolidation here, and he's speculating that we're roughly about right here. We had the sell-off. It came back to equilibrium, and then it launched. So we had the sell-off. It's working its way back towards its equilibrium. It's right in the zone, though. Is this getting ready to launch? Now, remember, this is a weekly chart. So this, even looking at this here, doesn't indicate where the next candle is going to be an absolute rocket ship. We may have, a couple more weeks before this actually results in having that super bullish price action. We can also see that right in here. This is from Mustache, El Crypto Prof. Altcoins and the Wyckoff method. Looks like the ABC correction has been completed. Can we send this higher now, por favor? So what he's talking about here, this is that entire phase right here. This is the entire phase right here is what he has highlighted. And what we're looking at right in here is a 130-year-old trading pattern method from back when people would draw the bars and chart it on graphs by hand, and yet it still applies today because it has to do with human psychology, it has to do with human nature. And we see this price action moving down. It essentially has it all mapped out for what this behavior is, okay? The ST phase right here comes all the way down, tests lower. The bulls come in, pushes up, just like right in here. We have a lower high. Look at that, lower high. Comes down, we have a higher low. What do we get? Higher low. And then trade sideways. Look at that, trade sideways. We get the move up. We get the move up on the Wyckoff method. The chop, and then move to the upside. So we have the chop. This is a move to the upside, starting basically in this phase E. Phase E coming up, coming down on the test, doing an Elliott wave, ABC correction, ABC. We got this. So now, this pattern has been playing out. This is what's known as basically a Wyckoff bullish accumulation pattern. So as this comes down and tests these levels and we're starting to move up, we do have various different signs that are signaling bullishness and risk narrative may be coming back to the market. But this doesn't mean we just go 100x long. Why? Because even though we have a pending buy signal on Ethereum right now, we also have to consider the fact that there's still risk caution here. And this is a chart from Caleb Franz, and he says the US dollar index, the DXY, is trying to flip this former wedge resistance right in here. This was resistance here, you see? Resistance, resistance. Now this is sliced through, trying to basically the wedge resistance into support. And right now it's testing, is risk coming back to the broader markets, not just Bitcoin, which would result more likely than this falling through if risk is coming back in? Or is there still some work that needs to be done? Something else that needs to kick the engine in gear? Is there something else that needs to kick the world markets, or fear or hope or whatever the different mechanisms are that are out there? And that would result, if this does find support here and starts breaking, we want to pay attention to if the Dixie does break out and break above this high, because that would signal that we may have a little bit of a slower period in the markets if the Dixie does start resulting in pushing higher here. So although we are feeling very bullish, and we do see all those different charts we just broke down on the macro that are signaling the bulls are about to get running, that about to get running could be resulting in 3 weeks from now. It also could be 3 months from now. So we need to be a little bit patient right now. I'm as bullish as I can be, but there's a lot of questionability with what's going on in markets at the moment. Now on Ethereum, we do see we have a pending buy signal on Jesse Olson's on their indicator series here. But what we're watching here is, even if this does get this buy signal, look at this double bottom right here in the zone that he had marked out. If Ethereum does start pushing up, we need to pay attention to this level right here, which is going to be about the $3,500 mark, because this is this descending level of resistance. Now, make sure you're giving me a follow at Kelly Kellum. There's only one of me. I found about 25 different fake profiles out there in the last couple of days. Make sure you come give me a follow, and follow BitLab Academy here at Academy BitLab. Now I think it's time to look at some TA, look at some charts, and get this going. I do want to just break down real quick the Bitcoin value map. We pushed up into this basically overvalued level. It doesn't mean the price is done, because look, we pushed up into the overvalued level there. We did come back very significantly here. We did push up into the overvalued level here. But I do want you to note that when we pushed up into it here, we came back and found support on this fair value line. Pushed up into the overvalued fair value line, bounced on this. So in this zone right here, we've pushed up to it. Are we going to come back to this fair value line? This fair value line currently is about $53,000. Is there any other sign? I'm not saying we're going to do that, but we want to get various different types of data and see where different levels line up so we are prepared if it were to happen. So let's look at Bitcoin, then we're going to look through a few altcoins, and we will call it a day. My question for you all right now, though, is if you are tuned in, big special shout out to each and every single one of you here right now. We somehow broke through 40,000 community members last night. We're at 40,000. Let's go ahead and refresh this. 40,400, 40,500 something. So big love to everybody that is here. If you are new, please introduce yourself. Let us know where you're tuned in from. Big love to every one of you. And I'd love it if every one of you that's watching right now, look down below the video. Do you have your notifications on? Turn on your notifications. We got a lot more content coming out. Make sure, I think about 8% of you have your notifications on. So big love to all of you. And I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and ding the bell. Now let's look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin, we talked about the rising wedge. We already covered the macro picture. But on this smaller time frame, a lot can happen that will wreck you if you're not prepared. So when we see this rising wedge coming into the golden pocket, two things that are indicating a rising wedge bearish, and we're coming up to a level. The apex is at the golden pocket, and we get a double top here with the M formation with the lower high. There's 4 different signals here without even looking at indicators, meaning like the BitLab trading stack or oscillators, just looking at the price action and the Fibonacci and this previous range high. And then we have this information. It was telling us, hey, we're about to shake some people out. Are you ready to buy the dip? That's what the chart's telling you. The chart is telling you when to be ready if you can be. So we just looked at that chart right here, identifying the fair value. We've seen this has had a lot of interaction on the fair value before around this part of the market cycle. See? So what does that mean? If it's about $53,000, is there anything on the chart that suggests $53,000 is something we need to look at? Well, look at where this price action level is right in here. We can draw a box there instead of a line. We'll do a box. Come on. We'll do a box just above and kind of incorporating that area. And I just want you to notice, what price point is this right here? Let's go ahead and draw a little thing. Boom, boom. Look at that. 53,000 all the way down to about 52.7. So this $53,000 mark is outlined in the price action on this chart, as well as this sort of combination on-chain value map that the Rational Root has identified, and we've seen historically has been a key level around this point in the halving. So there's broader data, and then there's also price action data that's agreeing with itself. If the price action does sweep to the downside, we have a plan. So where are we at right now today? Let's go to the 2-hour chart. This is suggesting right now, if the bulls are just having a bit of a shakeout, AKA a bear trap to the downside, then we'll find support somewhere in this zone, whether it's here at 63 or even right where we're at now. And then we'll work our way up, get a little rejection, and continue to the upside. If the bears are, for this short, the short term, taking back over a little bit, then we'll see the price action have a little bit of a retracement up, a rejection coming down to this zone, a little bounce up, and a move down to test the bottom side of this range that we have been in since the beginning of March. And that would be coming down to that $60,000 level. If we do come back down in here, watch for a potential wick into this short-term holder cost basis we've been talking about for so long. If this does happen, if the bears do sweep this lower, then we will likely see more bleeding in the alts, aka more opportunity to buy if the market does have that sweep to the downside. So we need to pay attention to that. Now, it's not just it's not just Bitcoin. We also see Ethereum. You know, we have this not even doing the level of resistance, just looking at these supports. And it's not just Ethereum. Look, Ethereum, we see MATIC. See this? See this line? Break below the line, rejection, rejection. We see AVAX. I didn't have this line drawn, but see this? Support, 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 break below, rejection, rejection down. We see a DOT, which I just made a big move in my portfolio yesterday. It's a very hard decision to make, but I did it. Look at this DOT. We have a bit of a little bit of a head and shoulders here, kind of sideways right in here. And this has broken down. But if we just take that neckline out and we're just looking at this rising level of support, it breaks below it, comes up, rejects at it, and then is moving to the downside. Render, head and shoulders. Are we going to find support here at $8.37? Are we going to move lower? As it stands right now, everything's waiting on what this uncertainty in the market's going to be. So I just say be patient right now. I do not recommend, this is your decision, but I don't recommend taking shorts on anything right now. If you hold something, look for the opportunity to get in at lower prices. If we're here, start layering in as these prices move to the downside. Link also, we see these rising levels of support. Rising level of support, lost, rejected, down, a little bit of consolidation and then down. So this is across the board. So coming back over to Ethereum, where this discussion started, we have this level, we've talked about it a lot. We have this level, this macro level of resistance, as we can see here on the weekly chart, which has been very, very important in this trend. And we have lost this level, came down, rejected from it once. Are we rejecting from it a second time as we speak? It looks like we are, because not only do we have this ascending level of resistance here that we've already rejected off once here, but we also have this rising level of support. It's almost as if these two lines are pointing right here is going to be an important point. And what happens? Price action starts getting up there, it starts getting a little weaker, but like, no, we got to get to that point that the chart was pointing at, which is this cross right here. And the price action works its way up, rejects. The bulls have no more confidence because now we're at a macro trend line, and this is fully actually rejects and is coming down. So what we're watching for right now on Ethereum is this key level right here, which we've already broken through. The market is flirting with really washing some people out right now. This may be a bit of a bear trap and we may come back up. As it stands, we still have positive money flow here on the 2 hour. The RSI has come down and kind of reset a little bit, but the stochastics are angled down, and we also have a bit of selling pressure, as you can see here with these red bars on the momentum waves. There's some selling pressure, meaning there's a higher amount of selling in this momentum to the downside. Now, is this? Okay. I'm just surprised we don't see a purple candle here. If we cannot, on Ethereum, if this cannot reclaim this fairly soon, then I do expect that this will likely see that next leg to the downside, which would result in testing this $3,100 level. Why? Because this is where that next level of resistance has been in the past. And we can see it's not just at this zone, but it's here, a little rejection below it here, rejection. So we're seeing, and this is also support over here. So if we come down and we are unable to hold this zone, right, and look at this rising, broadening wedge that also is developed from this neckline and this rising level of support. So this was also telling us bearishness. If we do come down and sweep this, then I expect that we'll likely come down here into this 2,900 to 2,900 high 28s again for Ethereum. Again, this is not the end of the world. It just means there's a little bit of work to be done. And when this market starts ripping, it'll start moving so incredibly fast, we cannot even prepare for it. This is why right now, the market is giving you opportunities to further prepare for that parabola. Let me say that again. Right now, the market is seeing some bearish signs. It's breaking down. It feels so scary. But this is the time. This is the moment that you can start to change your life. Whether you've already been preparing or you're just trying to figure out how to do as much as possible so that you can ride the benefits of a parabolic trend in the crypto market. Right now, the market is giving you a favor by letting the market do its work, chopping people out. You're not going to be chopped out because you have a plan. You have levels below this that you can still stack into. Make sure that you have your portfolio set the way you want it to be set, as in the best shape possible. So these dips are giving you a gift to have more fruit that you can take out of this market from the coming parabolic uptrend. So stack into this. Let this market chop work for you. That's what this is about right now, if you're prepared. Now, we see Ethereum. Maybe this is scary, but it's not, because we have our levels mapped out on the chart. So what is MATIC doing? MATIC looks almost, look at this shape. Look at this shape on MATIC. This down, chop, up, down. Okay, what we see on Ethereum. Down, chop, up, and it's starting to work its way down too. So all these things are just kind of tracking along with this. MATIC seeing high sell pressure. We've lost the weekly VWAP, come down. I'm expecting at some point, whether it's here or a little bit lower, some sort of retrace. The retrace is going to give a signal on how strong the bulls are, or if this is just a little bit of a, if it's a retrace or a reversal is what I want to say. A retrace is this, retrace and then continuation. A reversal is up, kind of falters a little bit, up, finds support on some previous high, and then continues higher, right? So as it stands right now, there's mixed signals in the charts, and it's meant to be, oh, it's my hand just hit the, I just chopped my, my stream deck there. It's meant to be because it's not easy if you're trading on a small time frame, especially with where we're at in this market, especially if you don't have a strategy. If you've been doing it for a long time, then you can see this level of resistance and you see this coming up into the zone. It rejects down. You can take these trades. You can trade these swings, but the majority of you are not there yet. And the majority don't even want to do that. The majority of you are trying to figure out, how can I be in the best spots possible? How can my portfolio be in the best position possible? One, to not have a lot of stress, but two, to change my life. Am I right? Now, if you do want to trade this, I do recommend that you absolutely make sure that you're doing it with a smaller portion of your portfolio. And remember, when you're trading, when you are investing, when you are stacking into your portfolio, I do want to shout out to channel sponsor Arculus to make sure that you are storing your crypto the right way. It's my favorite crypto wallet out there. And I don't say that just because they are a sponsor of the channel. It really is my favorite wallet out there. You get it in a box like this, pull it out, you get a card that you can put your wallet. Doesn't matter if you lose your wallet. Doesn't matter if you lose a card, because it has 3 different forms of security: biometric, your PIN code, as well as the card itself. So if you lose this, whoever has it doesn't have your biometrics or your secret PIN code. And that's obviously also in addition to the seed phrase that you have plugged into this wallet. If you lose a card, you just get a new card, plug in your seed phrase, and load it all in, and it sets it up. So you can go to getarculus.com and use code DC20 for 20% off to make sure that you are storing your crypto in the right way. And they take a huge amount of crypto on there, all kinds of different protocols from Polkadot and AVAX to Bitcoin and Ethereum. So make sure you set yourself up for success. Let's go ahead and look at ADA also. Look at this, rounding top, boom, telegraphing to us. Not only was it rounding top, we also see this price action bouncing on the weekly VWAP, goes up, loses the weekly VWAP, comes up, and then right here, rejects below it. That was your signal, if you're trading this on the small time frame, that this is likely going lower. And then this comes back up into the weekly VWAP again, rejection. Now we have high selling pressure. That's why this candle is purple. We also have the money flow just flip negative. And look at all of this red on this dashboard right here, the VWAP, the stochastics, all the different momentum waves on here from the money flow, and all the different oscillators. Everything except for the RSI shows bearishness here. Why? Because RSI is coming down and kind of resetting a little bit. But generally speaking, this is really washing some people out here, even though the market was telling us with this rounding top that it was likely losing that bullish conviction to the downside. I have a big admission to make, and it's nothing against Cardano. I just had to make some hard decisions in the portfolio. I moved all of the money that I had in Cardano into Polkadot. Because after I did that deep dive, and I told you about it the other day, and I'm going to shout it out again. If you did not watch the Polkadot video that I did this last weekend, it's this video right here. There's so many huge updates coming to Polkadot. It's it's utilizing so many different aspects of, the interoperability allows it to be more entrenched in the crypto ecosystem, and the price has so much room to go to even hit previous all-time high. They have burn mechanisms. I decided to move my Cardano into Polkadot, and I'll re-DCA into Cardano. And I have no problem with that. But I wanted to shout that out and let you guys know. So if you see it in my portfolio here, I don't have it listed here, which is why I have Polkadot, because I moved out of Cardano into Polkadot. I'll go back into Cardano. I still like Cardano, don't get me wrong. I think having near and having Polygon and having Avalanche and having Injective. All of these being very important layer one solutions. I was like, you know what? I have to make a big move. I need an interoperability coin. So I got this and I had to pick which layer one because I was a little bit redundant here. So I decided to move the Cardano into Polkadot. So that's the explanation for why I did that. Let's look at Link. Link also, look, losing this trend line, comes down, rejects, and now coming down to where? This previous level. It's funny how price goes to where previous levels tell you there's interest. The next level down from here would be roughly about right in this zone here. So this is 14.80. The next level down is another 80 cents down, about $14. Now, what would that represent? That would represent another 5 to 8% move to the downside. Why do I say 5 to 8? Because this is 5%. And if we go just a little bit below that, which sometimes happens, look at this. That's down here to this larger trend line that we have, this white line. So this pocket in here is where I'd be targeting potentially Chainlink coming down into. Now this still has positive money flow. Stochastics are very high and kind of angled down. But we're watching again. We're watching to see if the market is trying to fake people out with bear traps and then bounce, or what is going on. We got to look at Algorand. My apologies. I said I would look at it, so let's look at Algorand. Algorand made a big move to the upside, and look at this. The golden pocket, I had this drawn earlier, this very quick move to the upside, high buying pressure, which is why these candles are teal instead of green. Okay. So high buying pressure and then stopping volume. And where did this come down to? Let's get down to a little bit smaller. Here we go. This came right down, look, to the golden pocket, these two lines. So 0.618, 0.65, right in here, bounces on it. And look at this, it rejects right here at the trend signal line, signaling this was just a bounce. It's going to continue down. So this comes up, gets rejected, bounce, bounce, fall. Now it's trying to hold on right around this weekly VWAP, but if we lose this, I mean, this is very close, but I'd be watching for a target on Algorand if the market doesn't just, everything doesn't just start dipping. I mean, you know, the whole market starts pulling back further down. I'm looking for a target down here in this zone right in here, this 20 cent, the low 20 cent sort of range. If we lose that, then we may be coming back down to about 19. This is on the 24-minute chart, so it's not going to be. There we go. Let's go down. I'll be looking for that target and then this target right in here, which puts it down here at about 1977. Now, is that a huge difference? Well, when you're losing these small numbers, it doesn't feel like it, but that's another 3% move to the downside. And if we come all the way down here, that's another 7% move to the downside. So if you're aware of this, you're not going to get capitulated out. You can also look to stacking in. If you see this, you're like, oh, if you felt right here like it's running away, you wanted more, then you should not be mad that this is coming down and hitting levels that you have the opportunity to stack into it. But that's all I got for today, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. Make sure, please, if you are a BitLab member that has signed up anytime this year, that you got to head and resubscribe. You got to head to resubscribe. The link is in the Discord. If you are a BitLab member here, read this chat right here in Kelly Alpha. Use this link right here. Make sure you subscribe. And if you're not subscribed yet, get in there. And you could subscribe new right here, lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. Again, that's lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. You'll get 15 days free, as well as our promo pricing, which is far significantly reduced from the full pricing. And you also have the opportunity to sign up right after you join here. Then you have the opportunity to sign up for the indicators and the courses as well if you want those. By the way, if you retweet this tweet, just hit that retweet, hit that like button. You get entered to win $100. I'll be drawing this on May 1st. That's next week. So make sure you get in there, get involved with our Discord. We have such a wonderful community of people, of charts, of signals, of members chats, of hangouts, of so much going on in here on a daily basis with the setups we're looking at, what's going on. So I'd love to see you guys in there. It's a great way to, if you really like this channel, we go a lot deeper there. So big love to each and every one of you. Again, that's lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly. If you have any questions when you sign up and you wonder why your Discord's not connected, it's because you didn't follow the two-step simple instructions. So make sure you check your inbox, make sure you check your spam folder. And if you have any issues, email me at at bitlabacademy.com. I love you guys. That's all I got. Adios. Adios, muchachos. Thank you for coming. Thank you for always tuning in. Hit that like button, sucker. Join us in BitLab Academy. Use that link on the screen right there. lab.bitlabacademy.com/Kelly, Kelly. Love you guys. Adios.